Hey, what's up, guys? Josh here with ATX Guitar Lessons. We're going to be doing some fingerstyle guitar today. This is going to be the first video, and I'm going to briefly discuss with you setup, essentially, how to get the right hand feeling comfortable, which is just something that takes time. Just be patient with it. There are tons of videos already out there that talk about moving around different chords with same arpeggio patterns, which is great, and I'll do some of that stuff. But there's not too much talk about how to get the hand set up, and that's the biggest issue that most people have, and a lot of that I see with my students. And you'll even see it with some professional players. They'll create bad habits that cause them some pretty bad issues, painful issues, and as they get older. So anyways, there's certainly technique for both the left hand and the right hand. I'll give you a couple pointers on the left hand here real quick. And this is just something that takes a lot of repetition, I guess. But I study classical guitar technique, and the idea with your left hand, whether you're playing with the guitar on your right leg or if you're playing classical guitar style with a footstool, you want your hand to be as relaxed as possible sitting on the guitar, with maybe about a little less than the thickness of your index finger between the palm of your hand and the neck of the guitar. So you want to be relatively close. Of course, it depends on where you are and what you're doing on the neck, but that's just kind of a generalization. And this will force you to keep those fingers curved and to move from this bigger knuckle here, and to get on the fingertips. So if you see yourself doing this a lot and having to reach for these notes, the reason you're not able to get those is because you're not keeping that hand in a steady position, and it's just something that you want to watch very closely. And once you catch yourself, it's very obvious, and it gets easier to fix each time. So that's like very basic crash course in left hand stuff, but it will help you in any style of playing. I mean, you always want to have good technique. There are some styles that, maybe that's not exactly what you want to be doing, but, it's good for like 90% of the time. So anyways, I'm going to zoom in on my right hand, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to get that right hand set up and how we want the fingers to move. Okay, so of course you want to make sure that you have a good sitting position. You want to make sure you use good posture for the purposes of who this is for. I'm sure it's reaching most people that play with a very typical sitting or standing style on the right leg. So that's how I'm going to do it. But all the same would apply with a classical guitar style. So I'm coming over the lower bout with the crease of my elbow here, right where I bend, and I'm just sitting there keeping the weight on the guitar, not pushing down on it necessarily, just kind of keeping it in place, and my hand will naturally kind of come right around to the lower part of the sound hole, which is a good spot where you can get a full sound. So anyways, how to get the hand set up. A good position to be in, just to test how your hand sits on the strings, is to put your thumb on string 5, the A string, your index on string 3, the G string, your middle finger on string 2, the B string, and your ring finger on string 1, the E string. So I'm just going to kind of do this so you can see how I'm set up from the get-go. All right, so all those fingers are curved, thumb sitting on the 5th string. So talk about some basic problems that people will run into. One thing is that I have nails, And you don't need nails to start out with. It might even be better that you don't start with nails, because it takes time to learn how to shape them appropriately or properly so that they can pass through the strings. And if you don't know how to shape them, then they'll simply just make it more difficult for you, make your life a lot harder. So I would say start without nails, and then, you know, read about how to shape them. I might even do a lesson here about it if there's a request. But they do help with like finding a consistent point of contact and just getting more volume than the flesh of your finger. So anyways, I'm going to touch on some main points here, like things that get that people get stuck with. So one big one is, you can see how my arm is basically running in a straight line here. So I don't want to torque my hand or my wrist like this. What I'm going to get there is I'm going to be pulling on the string, and I'm going to get stuck. And it's not going to be a very advantageous position to be in to get a good motion going across the strings. So that touches on something very basic with fingerstyle. People see individuals play in fingerstyle and they think that they're pulling outward on the string, and that's a huge mistake. It may look like that, but the idea is to push the string in. You can see my G string there moving in. You push through it and follow into the palm of your hand. And that's how you're going to get the most volume and also a good tone, which is very important. The more you pull up, the more tinny it's going to get. It's going to pop. Your fingers aren't going to be able to move smoothly. So there's two big things. Keep the wrist straight. Don't turn it this way or this way. Both of those are bad, and they're going to cause you pain. Keep it in line and push through the strings. Don't pull up. So that motion, you can kind of see what my fingers are doing. I'm moving from this big knuckle. So if you think about holding a tennis ball, and get the guitar out of the way, it's kind of like that. You want your hand to be relaxed. Just think about holding a tennis ball, or some people will talk about kind of thinking of your hand as like a sock puppet. That's kind of the general motion you want. You want the majority of that motion coming from here. There is going to be movement here, but if all the movement's from here, that's where we get the pulling motion, and then you'll see more of this than you will this. Push through the string from the big knuckle. This is where we get all our strength. You want those fingers to be curved. See if you can see that. Right? Not up straight like this. So curved and at an angle, which having a straight wrist should take care of that. At an angle where you can move through the strings comfortably like this. I'm going to be pulling like this. I'm barely going to get the strings to ring out. So there's a prime location in there, and you can adjust it depending on what sound you're looking for. But, you know, for now I would focus on being kind of in that center location, not really deviating from it until you get used to the movement. One of the things you will have trouble with is this pinky. It's going to be doing that a lot. It's going to be very tense, and it won't seem like it's getting in the way of what you're trying to do, but just think if somebody were grabbing onto this finger and trying to pull your hand off of the guitar while you're trying to play. I mean, that's the equivalent of what's happening. So you want this pinky to move with your fingers. Otherwise, it's just going to be detracting from what you're trying to do. Now, on the opposite end of that, the thumb, this is another common issue that people run into. They will bend their thumb like this and try and push down on the string like that, which is not really a great way to set up anyways, and you'll probably end up putting too much weight on the bass strings there, or the lower strings. So idea is when you get your hand set up, I've got my index, middle, and ring on strings 3, 2, and 1. They're curved, they're relaxed. I'm using the same point of contact each time I touch the string. So you want to make sure your thumb is not behind your index finger or behind your palm like that, like mine is right now, because when you go down, everything's just going to be in the way of the thumb. You want this thumb to ride out on the string and be extended so it can just fall right into the index finger. And now it has plenty of motion. It might feel initially like you're crammed up, but that's what you want. So it's just something that you got to watch. A great way to do this is to be playing in front of a mirror. And, you know, actually playing a piece in front of a mirror might sound difficult, and it's just something that you have to get used to. But you don't even have to be playing a piece of music. You can just be working on an arpeggio pattern and just see how your fingers are reacting. You know, when I'm trying to use my index, are my other fingers going out like this? Where's the tension? Fingerstyle playing is all about relieving tension and trying to keep everything only doing what it needs to do and not trying to detract in any way. And that just takes time, takes a lot of patience. You do it slowly, learn little simple pieces of music, learn arpeggio patterns. There are plenty of great books out there, whether it's classical style or acoustic folk style, whatever it may be. And I'd always be happy to recommend one if any of you are interested. Just send me a private message or comment below the video. Anyways, that is the gist of the right hand. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I'll be making some more fingerstyle videos, so if you have any requests, please let me know. Visit the link down below, www.atxguitarlessons.com. Good luck, guys. See you next time.